Is Jaw Meat Floor about anyone in particular, asks Chris Watson. No, it's not. None of my songs really, apart from the odd one that I fucking really don't want to ever go back and listen to. My songs I write them in the mood that I'm in. And then Jaw Meat Floor is about people with thick skin. Nothing seems to touch them. They can, have an opinion and then just change their opinion based on who's walked through the room. And so, yeah, that song's written about that. And I know a lot of people, I've known a lot of people like that. So you're in that mood. You want to write a song about something like that, and a song comes out. So, yeah, it's written about a lot of people and no one in particular. And that's how songs are written. I guess some people do write songs just about the thing the song's about, and I don't like you starting with this and ending with this, and I guess it entertains some people, but not me. I like songs to be a bit more ambiguous and to invite you in to have your own opinion on what it's about. So, yeah, not really written about anyone. It's written about a lot of people. Fucking weird album, that, though. I didn't realise, because it wasn't that long ago that I had so much negativity when I was writing. The trouble with lyrics is they come and haunt you. You can write some stuff and it really will fuck with you later on. But only presumably if you've improved in the interim. And then you're going back and looking at this slightly naive perspective on life. So yeah, Jaw Meat Floor is another one that I listened to and was like, I'm not sure I like this guy who's writing these songs, kind of thing. Phil asks, you've spoken a lot about your battle with depression and mental health. In contrast, a lot of your songs contain humour, obvious or more subtle, which I love. Do you set out to include humour, or is it spontaneous? I've grown up with humour. I've grown up with humour being part of my life. I grew up with Monty Python and stuff like that, where you're allowed to joke about anything. And so humour just finds its way in. I don't set out to write a funny song. It gets into the song, seeps its way in, from point of fact that you just think of something and it makes you chuckle and you go, oh, that's going in. And if it makes someone else chuckle, then great. But there's nothing better when you're writing than to think of a rhyming couplet that makes you giggle. It's that takes me back to Monty Python. And I love reading about Monty Python and how they would just go away. Their whole job was going away to somewhere nice and waiting until one of them said something that made them all laugh. And I thought, that is a fucking great job. And then I remember reading about Reeves and Mortimer when they first started, and someone walking into a room, and it was just one of these big office rooms. They were obviously employed by the BBC or Channel 4 to go in and write some stuff. And they were just in the corner of the room, just snickering at each other, peppered by the odd fucking, right out loud laugh. Someone popped their head through the door and was just going, what the fuck could possibly be going on in there? And I'm like, that sounds like a good job, making yourself laugh. So yeah, if I'm writing something, especially if it's a song about mental health, I like that it's got a little bit of levity. I don't want to write sad songs about sad subjects. And yeah, I've done, but it's not something I really want to, make a habit of. Loads of questions here. Fucking loads of them. Loads of them. Fantastic. Fucking, honestly, there are thousands here. John asks, didn't you used to be a vegan? What happened there? That's a good one. Yes, I used to be a vegan and a vegetarian, all the rest of it. What happened? I got a dog. That happened. I got a dog and I bought it meat to eat, which is keeping the meat industry going. But what's really happened is I moved to the countryside. And what happens in the country is you are educated by nature. And what nature tells you is it's all about life. It's all about the essence, what the fuck is life. It's things growing and helping other things grow, living off other things. But the whole thing about life is it's about death. Come to terms with the fact that everything is about death. Everything dies and provides for the next thing, and things thrive. But when you get right down to it, death and things serving other things is what life is all about. And you get to the point where you move to the country and you realise that it isn't eating things that was the thing that I was against. It was man's cruelty that I was against. Eating things, animals eating animals, should not be looked down upon by anyone. And I think if you're the sort of person that chooses not to eat meat but looks down on someone else who doesn't do the same as you, then I don't think the problem there is animals. I think the problem there is you. You live in the countryside. I live it's farming area. You live in an industry that's hundreds and hundreds of years, thousands of years old in where I come from. Families after families have been living on this thing. So you're helping the farming industry, and you can't really do that if you say, well, I'm not going to buy your meat. So I've got a dog that eats meat. I eat meat. I buy meat from the farmers. There's no cruelty there. There's people doing something that the families have done for generations and generations, is rearing cattle and living off the cattle, selling the cattle. And so you're keeping this industry going. And so the idea of animals living and then feeding someone else doesn't bother me. Cruelty, mass marketing, when they treat the animals like shit, yeah, I hate that. But that's man's inhumanity. And it in no way is it better illustrated than man's inhumanity to man. Mankind is a fucking cruel motherfucker. And we treat people like shit. We treat animals like shit. We treat the rearing of animals, stick them in a fucking shed, give them no quality of life. Where I live, the animals are all outside. They're having a fucking great time. And I've had this conversation with animals when I've been sitting talking to them. There was a cow that I fell in love with, and Rosie, her name was. And we had this talk, heart to heart, where I was like, all you are is an organism that's having an experience. It's consciousness having an experience through this physical medium. This is your story. You're reared in this field, and then you're going to get killed and you're going to get eaten. My story is I've got fucking depression and all these other things. And yeah, on the surface, it could look like our stories are both unfair. But that's taken life too literally. What we're doing is we're providing a service for consciousness to experience itself, where it's experiencing a physical realm. I hope I'm explaining this properly, but I don't think I'm explaining anything properly today. But yeah, when it comes down to it, life is about death, about procreation, about thriving, about blossoming, about growing, and then dying. It's a cyclic thing. It's just, the whole circle of life is more important than the fucking specifics. This is where I think we get it wrong. It's where I've been getting it wrong for so long, is that I take this physical thing far too fucking seriously. It's dispensable. It's temporary. We're making it up as we go along anyway. We're fucking creating this thing as a facsimile, and that's one reality. And then the other reality is consciousness is having its way. Now, consciousness is in everything. I know we think of it as being a soul, and it's your shape. It walks around when you're asleep and does its soul-y things. But it's not. Consciousness is like the internet, Wi-Fi. And it's affecting everything. It's gathering experience in everything, whether it's a blade of grass, whether it's a cow, whether it's a human being. And it's all temporary. The only thing that doesn't change is the consciousness itself. The shape changes all the time. So in a roundabout way, that's why I'm not a vegan anymore, because I have a dog and I realise that life and death are temporary. And the reason why I was a vegan was because of the cruelty of man. Dan K from Boston, Massachusetts asks, as I'm a big fan of the tremendous Devin Townsend, as I am of yours, I'm writing because I found his incredible magazine cover of me and Devin in Burn magazine from 1998. And it was right when Devin's Infinity was released. In the past, you've been modest about your contributions to Infinity, but I see you doing press with Devin, so I thought I would ask what was going on in that period. Fucking hell, it's a very good question. I have no idea. It was another one of those lost times where I just happened to be in Devin's orbit a lot. I was going to Canada and staying with him, and I was, going to Japan and he would be there. It was one of those things where our timelines had got caught up with each other, and it was just great to be around Devin. We hung out a lot around about those points. And that's why we did the magazine cover. I'm forgetting if it was my cover and he joined in, or it was his cover and I joined in, or someone just wanted to put us both in there. But it was fun. Back when the Japanese would fly you around the world. I remember they flying me to... Yeah, there we go. There's the pictures. That might have been taken... It was in Canada, or maybe it was in Japan. I don't know. But it was one of those things where we were just hanging out a lot. Yeah, we were just in each other's orbit a lot. And any chance of getting, on a cover with Devin was obviously great. Also welcome any insights or stories about your relationship over the years. Devin's brief stint as a touring member, the Urge EP, I remember an Urge EP, and obviously Devolution, Kill Me to Death he sang on. Devolution of Mutation 3. Oh yeah, I remember that. Fucking hell, my brain really isn't working today. It's almost like there's a fucking one wire just flapping in the wind like that. Should be connected to something. But this is how you got to fucking deal with things like depression and stuff. You've just got to keep going and keep distracting yourself and just moving. Just keep moving the fucking skeleton. And eventually it goes. And this is how I deal with things these days anyway. Just keep fucking moving. I fucking love Devin. And having Devin in the band was great. Having him on tour was great. He was just always a fun person to have around. So yeah, we did a tour with Devin back when people used to smoke a lot. And everyone smoked in our tour bus. And the windows would be open. Be driving down the road and spewing smoke out the side of the bus. And Devin did the whole tour with a gas mask on. And his logic was that, he can't stop us smoking. And he was one of the very first people that I actually met who didn't like smoking. People didn't seem to mind in the 90s, early 90s at least. So I fell in love with Devin just because of how weird he was. And I had this one weird thing where I had a bet on with Devin that me and him would not shower for a month. We actually took it day by day to see who could last longest without a shower. And I think I won, and it was close to a month, I think, something like that. But, that was, my memories of Devin are all good, so that I fucking love that fella. Elliot K says, can I just say how much I'm loving these podcasts? Great value for money too, as you keep giving us free bonus podcasts. You have Phil to thank for that as well, because he does all the editing. And a fucking fantastic job he does as well. My question is, which podcast do you listen to? Do I take inspiration from any? Personally, I think you're setting the bar very high for others to follow in your footsteps. And I suspect there will be a whole range of Ask So-and-so from other musicians coming up very soon. Mark my words. Well, Elliot, that would be funny, wouldn't it? Yeah, I guess watch this space. I'd like to see a lot of people answering questions about themselves. It'd be nice if a virus of musicians being honest. That would be fucking brilliant. But I don't actually listen to any podcasts, to be honest. I listen to them when I'm in someone's car and they've got one on. Ben likes to play Bill Burr and the Bob Moore Athletico Minx. He plays that one a lot. And I just noticed that there's a lot of dead air. A lot of people who do podcasts tend to kind of not say things for a long time. And I do too, but you don't get to see that because Phil edits it all out. But I'm not a big fan of the dead air. I keep thinking that someone should be doing something, or someone should just edit in like a fucking cow noise in the background or something. Maybe that's what Phil should do. There's probably going to be a lot of dead air on this one because my head is completely in the shed. That's the thing with fucking mental health. It's one thing I keep telling people is it doesn't go away. You don't master it. You just get good at dealing with it, but it's fucking there. It's snapping at your fucking toes every second that it can get. Never, ever goes away. But, I wish I could listen to... I wish I had enough time to listen to all the podcasts. People go on about, why don't you listen to Joe Rogan? Listen to this one, listen to that one. I mean, you're talking about... After a few people ask you to listen to podcasts, they've asked you to devote 3 days to listening to people's podcasts, unless it just so happens that it sorts you out for your journey to work and back every day, or you're plastering and you like listening to Joe Rogan podcasts. Who's got 3 hours? I'd love to listen to some Joe Rogan podcasts where they're about, UFOs and stuff like that, but 3 hours? 3 hours? I haven't got time to do anything for 3 hours. And so, no, I don't listen to anyone's podcasts, and I don't honestly know if this one's any good or not. And so when you say that you're loving the podcast, I thank you, because I honestly don't know. It's just me fucking waffling on. And that's why I like the idea of taking this on the road and making it a live thing, because I like the idea of going on stage and not knowing what the fuck's going to happen. Literally not know what's going to happen. Getting the questions from people from that show. Imagine that I'd play some music, probably do it in the songs and words thing. So there'll be an hour and then a break, and then another hour. So you do 3 songs maybe per hour, 4 songs, and they would all be solo songs, and you wouldn't ever repeat the same song twice. So there not only would be never be the same show twice, we'd never even do the same songs twice. And that sounds like it could be a lot of fun. But I like the idea of just going on and waffling. And I think if I listened to someone else's podcast, I'd start second guessing what I'm doing. I'd start trying to make sense, or being a little bit as funny as him, or as well informed as him, or as, Carol used to play the Blind Boy podcast, so I had to listen to some of it there, but he does so many different types of subjects. I'm like, if I listened to those, I'd have to start reading up on things more, and I'd have to start diversifying what I talk about, as opposed to just talking absolute bollocks. So I think if I listened to more podcasts, this one wouldn't have lasted as long as it has done, because I would have run out of things to talk about. So give me a microphone, tell me to talk absolute bullshit, and I can do that. But ask me to be specific, and I probably struggle a bit. But I'm glad you like them. Thank you very much, Elliot. All of your supportive and kind words mean more than any of you will ever know.